That's strong. G'day, Corey here from Rockpile. How you going? So, I'm in the shed. It's a bit drizzly outside. So I just need to make up 3 of the diagonal braces that support our vertical posts. And I'm just going to go into a bit more detail on how I come up with this idea and how it works once it's all together. So I'm just going to quickly make up 3 posts. They basically just consist of this bracket that I drew, and that welds on one end of the post, and then we have a bit of 65mm square steel, like hollow, like tube, that I cut at a set length, which is 30mm, and that welds onto the other end of the post. Once I've done that, we'll head down there and I will explain the madness behind my idea. So, I'll quickly fab these up. I do have to use a generator for pretty much everything today because we're a bit struggling on the solar. It's had a few days of cloud and we've got like 3 days worth of sort of battery storage, I guess you'd call it. Autonomy, maybe. I'm not sure what the correct word is. But yeah, we're a bit cloudy today and haven't had much charge put in over the last few days. So, generator for everything today in here. I've just welded the little square bits on the other end of the pipe, and you can see I've got my bracket back, and you'll see how it's kind of cut on a bit of a weird shape, right? So that's because it sits over the pipe on the angle. So this will sit level and the pipe runs on the angle to the ground. Alright, so we just welded these tags on. We'll just call them tags. Tags on here. And I also weld a little bit of 10mm rod to a piece of threaded rod. Right? All is going to be explained. Trust me. So we're going to head down the bottom now and try and put these together. This is our corner section, Corey style. So we have this end here, we have that little bit of square tube you saw me cut. Now you can, if you are going into an existing picket that has wire running through it already, I would just cut this section out so it would just push onto the picket. But in this case we're just going to slide it over. So we just slide it over like that, right? And then you can see I put this rock in the ground. So that rock will essentially help stop this from sinking down. Probably could have been a bigger rock, but you know, I'm not feeling that strong. So that's that end. You can use anything you like here. Normally they have like a steel plate, but you know, keeps the cost down. Rocks are free. Now back up this end. These are those brackets that I showed you in the shed that are welded on and how they sit on the post. Like so. This is the threaded rod you saw me make in the shed. Essentially this goes in there and we'll drill a 10mm hole in here and that will sit in there and a nut goes on top and pulls this down, and that gives it the pressure to stop the post from leaning over. Now you're probably wondering why we've decided to go this way. Basically it's cost. We kind of do everything, because we can make stuff, we end up doing it cheaper than you can buy stuff. So an alternative section here would be for us to use 5 copper logs. So this would be a copper log, and a copper log, and then it would have 2 horizontal log rails, and then it would have a diagonal wire running down on each one, and that would be the corner section. Now copper logs here where we live are around up to $35 each for like a 2.1 for like a decent 150mm round log. So 35 times 5 is quick math, 175. So that, and by the time you throw in your wire, a couple of gripples and a bit of a rod that goes through the log, through the vertical log into the horizontal to hold it, you're probably getting up to about $180. Whereas this section, as you see it here with all these bits that we've made, I can do it for 80. So that includes these 2 lengths of tube and this post. So these are just full lengths cut in half, so you get 2 out of 1, and the posts are a full length cut into thirds. Just go with like the most common sizes, you know, so they may be a little bit long, that's why we're cutting them off a bit to suit the actual finished height. And also with the copper logs, you've got to drill like a pretty decent hole to get the 3 posts in, and in this rocky terrain that can be difficult. You are a little bit limited by, say for example, where this post could go from that post, depending on the length of your rail, because ideally you want minimum, say 2.4 as a rail, and the posts 1200 out of the ground. Okay, so it can be difficult getting the posts in the ground in that sort of desired little window of location there. So we're just going to put this on now. I'm just going to mark where I'm going to drill my holes. So I'll put 1 hole there, 1 hole around here. I just got a little 5mm pilot drill. Now I just have a 10mm drill bit. First day drilling holes. I think my drill bit needs a sharpen. Little bits of rod here, and we slide it up through the hole, through there, and do the same on this one, like that. Now you can see they're both in the post. They're not going to come out because they're actually like angled up. Right, just 2 flat washers and 2. These are just called coupler nuts. So these are designed to join threaded rod together, so you can get like the threaded rod half screwed in each side, and then that's how you join threaded rod. So we just put a washer on top, like so, and then screw them down. Get my little fingies out of the way. Right, and you can see just even with me turning it by hand, how this diagonal is going down on this post. And because it works like the triangle method, as this post comes down, it actually puts pressure on this, leaning it over, which in turn counteracts the fact that you're straining the fence wire to pull it back in.
What do you got?
A little scorpion. I don't know how well you can see it. It's only tiny, maybe 20mm long.
It's little. Hello, little one.
I'll try and get him out.
It's pretty cute.
Alright, so the next thing I do as part of this little process is I just run a high tensile wire around the bottom of these posts, like so. And this actually helps brings the post together at the bottom, just in case the star picket wants to push out that way. Just grab a gripple. You're familiar with them, we've showed them before. That just slides on and on. Push it down the bottom like that. And I'll just go back down this end. Just push that down to there, okay. Then we just give it a little bit of gripple action, like so. Okay. And that pulled that up nice and tight. I'll just fold these ends over, just so there's no little wires poking out, you know. So I'll do that on the next one as well.
Does it have to be a certain length?
Oh, I just like it so it's kind of somewhat same. Okay, happy?
That really locks that in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they have that rod on the bottom, or that chain on the bottom. Alright, so we've got our bottom strainer wires on. Now I have done a few little alterations in my head for this system as we've been going through it. So I have found a source of some 8mm galvanised steel rod that is quite cheap. It's only $6 for a 6 metre length. So Might end up changing these wires to the galvanised rod, just so they don't rust out type thing. So as you can see, now we come down here and we just can give it a little tighten. Now you won't be able to tell, right, because the post is kind of moving so minimally. But basically, that is... That's strong. So that's Corey's corner, we'll call it. As I said, there's a few little extra bits that I would change if I was to do this system again, but we'll just stick with that for now because it's strong. Next step, we may as well put these insulators on while we're at this corner. We'll show you that. And then we've only got one more of these to put in down the other end. And then a few more insulators and we're ready to run all the strands of wire. Alright, so we're just going to tie these insulators off to the post. Now the reason why we're putting these here like that, they'll sit basically, say there. There'll be 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just put that there. So because we're tying the fence wire off to the post on that end and we're tying it off to the post on that end, I want the wires to be able to slide through these insulators. It's just how we're doing it. So let's just grab a bit of wire. Now we loop it round. I do this one pretty quick, this first movement. But essentially, so I've just looped it around the post, right, as you can see, holding both bits like this. Now as I leave about, say, 1/2 metre of tail hanging out, I'm going to pull it tight. At the same time, this wire that goes over this one, I'm going to push down, and this one that's under, I'm going to kind of pull up. So we'll do it quick. We go boom, boom. If that made sense. So we got kind of like a little notch, a little kink where it's going to keep it reasonably tight. And then I don't do the end knot here, I just loop it around about 6 or 8 times, I think. 7, 8. Alright, and then we just turn it 90 degrees like we did and give it a little twist and it will just snap off. Now I get about 400 mil, cut that off, get the insulator, feed the insulator over the wire. Now I want to keep the insulator quite close to the post, so we basically just do that, pull it tight, and then we wrap it around another 8 times. And that's actually probably a little bit too short to do the twisty off thing, so I'm just going to cut it with the pliers. And that is basically our insulated corner. Now I'll just do a quick demo because we'll pretend that this is the fencing wire that we're going to strain all the way down, and that's how that will go through it, like that. Probably not my best knot, but it's still a knot. Okay, let's just have a quick chat about insulators and the different types we've used and why we've used them in that situation. As I said with these ones, this will have a wire running, coming in and running through it and going up there, and it will be strained on this length of run. So then this allows the wire to move freely through this insulator while keeping it off the post. The other type you saw is the star picket insulator that just clips over the picket and the wire goes through it with that little plastic pin that drops in to hold the wire. So that doesn't take any pressure. That's just like a locating isolator, because that wire is just kind of floating, you know, when you pull it tight it just floats there, and that insulator just locates it on the picket. Just a little side note, we call the corners internal and external from when we're standing inside the paddock. So I'm currently in the paddock, so this would be an internal corner. The one that you're looking at now is an external corner from standing inside the paddock. So the wire runs on past the post, and they are the same, sort of like the star picket insulator, but they have like a flat back, and you can just screw them to a timber post or a steel post, and the wire runs through and the pin drops in same way. Now they're just like they don't have tension on it. They're another locating type. And then you'll see an end post, which is basically where the horizontal fencing wires are tied off straight to the post. Now we only have 2 of the porcelain ones, and that's for the hot wire. And then the earth wires, because these are steel, because I'm going to try and use these steel posts as an earth as well. So the steel wires, the earth wires, get tied straight to the post, and then they will get connected to... I was just looking for a little clip. Can you throw me a little, in that cardboard box, a little wire joiner? Yep. So they will get a wire that clamps onto the earth wire and a bolt that bolts to the post, and we just use them to clamp the wires to it. And then you'll see another one which is an end post, which is to a copper log post, and that's the same deal. So obviously we won't use the copper log as an earth, but we have the insulators for the hot, and the earth just gets tied around the post. So that's the insulator thing. Any questions, please leave a comment, because I've already got a question.
Why have you got insulators on? Why have you got insulators on like each of the...
Valid question, my little candidate back there. So going back to the external corner, again, that's when you're standing in the paddock. We call that an external corner, with the picture here, just for reference. I put those insulators on the post because I don't want the wire running basically past the post and rubbing on the post. I'd rather it rub on the plastic. I just don't want the corrosion to happen, or essentially if that rubs too much, it will start some rust, the wire could snap. So you've got that plastic that just isolates it essentially from the post. And of course the hot wires can't touch the post because they will short out and you won't have an effective electric fence. Any other questions, Amanda? And then just to finish it off, I will cut this down a bit just because it will match the pickets better. We just get a cap. These are just metal press-on caps, and they just essentially just give it a tap and they all go on the post, and that just caps it off nicely. Alright, so I've just Googled, we're just going to do a price comparison. This is our boundary fence, and this is the system that they've used here. So I just did a quick Google. Now, the shop that's local to us is about an hour away. For this system, comes with this rail, the post, a cap, a clamp, is $291.70. And I'm just going to screenshot that in case anyone calls me a liar. So $290, and you have to drill the post in, or bash the post in. Like a commercial contractor would probably just smash this in with his big hammer thing. And this one on this end, you dig a hole and you put concrete in it, and then you clamp it up and it's set. So $290 plus a bit of concrete. Over to Corey's corner, $80. Give or take $1 for labour, you know, either way. So this is why we're making our own. This is another part of our boundary. Now you can see that this is actually, when they strained this fence up, pulling it that way, it's actually pulled this post over, and this clamp, which only uses clamping pressure on the post to hold this down, you can see the whole lot has just moved up. So it's not just about, you know, paying big money for a system like this. Let's pop the cap off. So this was probably down, you know, like here somewhere, and it's moved that far. So that's why I come up with our system that uses that bit of threaded rod to hold this brace down. We've made our diagonal like longer, so it doesn't act as like a, because the shorter your diagonal, the more it acts as like a lever when you strain the fence tight, whereas the longer it is, the more it acts as a brace. Just all these little things that I think help at the end of the day. Had a little idea, and I wanted to show you how much pressure you can actually get on a fence with this system that Rockpile Corey invented. So as you can see, we've got a bit of 10mm threaded rod here, and when you wind this nut down, it pulls this bracket down the pipe, applying pressure to the pipe, leaning the pipe over, giving it tension on the fence. So what I've done is I've set up a chain and a block and tackle here. I've got it anchored to the ute. Now I'm going to turn this on. Alright, we're at 0 kilos. So I'll give the chain a bit of a pull, which may be loud. Okay, so we're going up 46 kilos. Let's get about 150 on it. 50. Just wait for the chain to stop shaking. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zero the scale out, and then I'm going to show you what happens if I apply pressure to this. Now admittedly we are working back to front upside down, Miss Jane, so I've just pulled the post that way. Now when I apply pressure to this post, it's going to decrease the kilos on the scale. Does that make sense? So I've already loaded up the scale with, it's settled down now, 145.6. 145, well, it's slowly going, we'll just call it 145. Now I'll hit 0, we'll zero it out to nothing. If I wind this in, right, we'll go half a turn. So if you know about how a thread works on a bit of thread, this is 10 by 1.25 thread. So every turn, this nut moves down 1.25 mil. I know we're getting technical. So half a turn, it's moving down 0.7, whatever, you know. So we'll go half a turn, and that moved the scale 4.16 kilos. Now if I go again, all right, here we go again. 7.32. So you can see that just by turning that very easily, one turn has given me, like, you know, an extra 7 kilos of pressure. So, you know, what happens then if I'm giving it, you know, 10 turns? How much pressure am I applying? You know, because it gradually increases as the further you cut, as this diagonal post, as the diagonal comes down the vertical, the leverage gets greater because the diagonal is becoming like straighter. So I hope that's just explained a little bit of a demo on how the little tensioner system works, with any luck. Anyway, we're at 7.16. Let's give it another one just because we're here. You know, get my bloody spanner on. 11.5. So for all the technical geeks out there like me, hopefully that means something to you. This is a post that we concreted in I drilled the hole quite deep. This is a good 900 mil in the ground. It's been concreted in. I also, at the bottom of the hole, as you drill the hole down with our auger, I got the shovel and I called what we call belling out the bottom. So the hole goes down and it kind of gets a bit bigger at the bottom. Now that may be exaggerated, but it's probably like a little bit larger at the bottom. So when we fill it with concrete, we'll put the post in and fill it with concrete, there's a lot more resistance on the post to pull up out of the ground. This is the transition where we've got flat ground and we're going up a hill like that. So if we were just to keep going with our star pickets and follow that lay of the land, you can see when we strain the wire tight, it'll put pressure on the pickets and it will want to encourage the pickets over time to pull out of the ground because the wire wants to find the straightest line possible when it's pulled tight. So the idea of this post is that it's concreted in, it's 100% secure, and it can take the actual oomph of the fencing wire pulling up on it, and it won't affect the line of the star pickets either side. Now the camera doesn't really do it justice because the land is, you can't really pick the slope up that well, but you just have to take my word for it. And what I did is I welded some loops to it, just like some 5mm steel rod, bent them over the insulator and welded it to the post, and then I welded a chain link where the earths go through. And that gives me a very solid foundation for the wires to go through. We are a bit short on barbed wire on that next bit, so this bit here isn't as tight as I would like. So I'm just making my way around, tidying up a few little loose ends and tying the barbed wire down to the top of the picket is something that needs to be done. Okay, so we start with a little bit of wire here. It's about 200mm long and it's been bent in half. We lift the barb off, put this through the hole in the picket. I lift this back up, push both pieces down, keeping pressure on this one here, and I get the little twitching tool and I just wrap it around, and then I angle the offcut facing down and it's done. Voila. Alright, so that's all them done. Didn't even cut myself. How good's that? So, now things left to do. We've got to put that gate in, which I think we're doing on Friday, which is irrelevant because I don't know what day it is today. And then we got this real bad rocky section to do through here, which will be interesting. Alright. We'll see you at the gate.